You're
Sorry,
yelling
guys,
at
we were
me.
having some technical difficulties, as always, any pro streamer.
Classic.
Stream together only supports Firefox. Okay, cool. That's why I opened it Firefox, bitch. What does that even mean? Nah.
I've always ran it in Brave and never had an issue until today.
Well, now I'm trying to do it in Firefox and whatever. We're just gonna wait a second till it dies and then we'll do it. I'm sure.
Druid's in the room.
Sky, can you move him in real quick? I'm having some problems.
Hi, Druid.
Hello.
Give me 1 second, Druid. We're working on a technical issue here, and then we'll get going. Are you streaming?
Love the fit.
Yeah.
Me? No.
Okay. Give me like 2 minutes, and we'll kick this bad boy off.
Should record though, huh?
Hey, why not? All right. Here's the rules. You can both get 7-minute openings. At about 23 minutes ish, and 45 minutes ish. The judges will get like a moment to come ask questions. I will also interject. If I interject, just let me get in and ask questions to both y'all. I'll press y'all both at some point. Probably try to get this. You see what some fails in y'all's logic, and maybe just kind of see get a little content, some excitement, or maybe if I think one of y'all is just doing something, I'll just jump in sometimes. Otherwise, I'll try to do it to both y'all to keep it even. At the end, we'll do the judges. Judges will DM me the winner privately, and then I will come to y'all at the end, and y'all will announce who won and why, and there will be a chat vote. And after the chat vote, that's when we will do the announcing of who won and why. Any questions for me?
How long was this again?
It should last about an hour, hour and a half max. Sometimes things get going and it's hard for me to jump in if they're good exchanges and it gets extended. But hour and a half max, hour or so. Give me 2 seconds here. Let me try to send this one more time to somebody and start this up, and then we'll get going. If not, we'll just fucking go.
I have a question.
Yeah, why are you a bitch?
Did you do something with your hair? You look nice today.
That's what I think that's at, bro. Let me tell you. All right, we got this in. Okay, now we can send Tyler an invite. Join shared chat.
I think the rage that he said at Rev made you slimmer, honestly, Gibbs.
Rev? You Revs?
I don't know. He made me want to throw up when I saw the fucking nose ring and his belly jiggle when he sat back.
Listen, Rez and I come from a long time knowing each other, and he and I can fight and we'll argue. I just he caught me. Really, the biggest thing is timing. I just I did a lot last week, and my brain is at 0. And I don't have the gumption to do it this week. And if they want to argue about it next week, then we can argue about it. But this week, I'm gonna fucking take it
Manage
easy.
your spoons.
All right. So who's taking the affirmative on this one? It looks like
I think I don't know.
There's me, because even though I don't. We'll get the full context with it. All right, but
all right,
yeah.
All right, let me just pull up my timers, and then you'll be good to go.
Because he was responding to somebody else's tweet, and I took umbrage with his tweet, so I would say he's arguing the affirmative, and I'm arguing.
That's fine. Do you want to, Drew? Do you want to start, or would you like him go start? Doesn't matter.
Would you like to start, Tyler? I know you have an opening.
That's fine. I can do whatever.
It's
right, pretty chill for me.
Just give me 1 second. I'll get the timer up. Timer. All right. Tyler. So you're on horse timer, Tyler? All right, cool. Let's no, not that one. I need this one. All right, and then judges just kind of, Scott, you've been here for how you just write down any questions you got and just or whatever, and then we'll do it. Then you ask questions at the times. All right, at the little interruption times, I'll give you all time. All right, go ahead, Tyler, whenever you're ready.
All right, so this argument comes from a post on X. In the post, someone stated that all illegals here are criminals. Legal fact due to how the laws are written. It's a misdemeanor to cross the border. The second time you cross the border, it's a felony, and you're licensed or subject to expedited removal, which is removal without due process. You just get the hell out. While you were here illegally, all the work you do is done illegally, either by you or the employer illegally employing you. All the places you stay are done illegally. There is identity fraud or some sort of identity obfuscation going on if you're paying taxes. People that harbor you are here illegally. Your landlord's keeping you there illegally. There's all sorts of laws being broken. So factually, we're talking about illegally. I'm assuming in Druid's response, when he was talking about illegals and asylees, he was using these terms colloquially. Otherwise, this is going to be a pretty quick debate because the legal definitions are completely on my side here. So I'm assuming we're going to argue colloquially, and I'm assuming we're going to argue about his ideal standard for asylum to get into what the nitty-gritty is going to be. So asylum is taking in people who have fear, that usually of some sort of persecution, that usually goes off of the same things we base hate crimes off of: race, ethnicity, religion, and I want personally to expand it also to sexual orientation. But the aggressor has to be the government, not just a random gang. If this were the case, we'd see situations where people in Chicago could be eligible for asylum, and no state or no country in the world would be eligible to receive asylees because we all have gangs that terrorize people in their local area. The standard is there for a reason, and changing it would lead to massive unintended consequences. But no nation would be viable to take these people in the first place as one of them. The rest would be that we are actually empowering the people we seek to depower, which are the cartels. So his prescription about root causes is the same thing we hear from the soft on crime policies and all these policies of economic intervention into other countries, where we're trying to get rid of the root causes. And we've been doing this since the 60s. It really hasn't worked. We have plenty of data showing that tough policing is actually what brings down crime, not addressing root causes and ignoring criminals. This means this type of intervention to go after these root causes generally means that economic intervention that hasn't worked yet, or we put boots on the ground and we go into these countries that do not want us there. We've already offered to go in and take out the cartels, and they've said no. A lot of these countries have political representatives that are paid by these cartels, so they would also have to be removed from power in order to get this to happen. So we'd be arguing for soft regime change and invasion of every country to the south of our border in order to take out these cartels. That would be massive. That would be wild, and that would be extremely worse than just telling people no. When we actually look at the data, most people that come here illegally do so for economic opportunity. Going into the next bit, I want to jump on a little bit more into what the cartels. In order to deal with the cartels, the best course of action is not to accept everybody they've trafficked here. What that does is raise their success rate, making them more in desire to be hired by people that want to come to the U.S. And if we keep those people here that they brought, that shows that, it works, and let's keep giving these guys money. We have to cut their knees out from under them if we actually want to stop them and destroy their business, their $6 billion a year business of trafficking humans across the southern border. Now, if we look at the actual people that come over the border, what we have are generally people that apply for asylum and then drop out of the process and disappear into the interior of the United States, or what we call gotaways. Gotaways were estimated to have about 160 to 170 million per year. Or no, I think it was 160,000 per month. I'm sorry, I read that wrong. That's significantly more than people coming here with just asylum claims. Even if we open up asylum to his expanded definition, still the vast majority are coming here for economic opportunity. A study over 20 years shows that actually in 2009, when Obama opened up the credible fear clause of asylum, we saw the credible fear clause go from 5% of usage to almost 50% of usage, and we saw the fraud rates skyrocket. Only 17% of people that use this in this 20-year study actually got accepted for asylum. Most of them either didn't show up to their court dates, or were told that they have to be deported and then didn't show up for the deportations, or just flat out disappeared from the process at all, never even applied. So I would argue that that being the case, this is rampant abuse of our asylum system that's going on, and taking in more people for something as simple as they have cartels that are mean to them would open it up even more than the Obama administration did and the Biden administration did to cause the border problem in the first place. So asylum seekers, including refugees, have a much lower level of scrutiny coming into the United States than actual people coming here off of visas to become citizens. We have a long process of vetting them. and all sorts of things that need to come up beforehand. As we saw in the EU when they took in a bunch of Syrian refugees that were unvetted and just brought in for humanitarian causes, which is just, I do like it. I'm not saying get rid of asylum, but if you take in too many, what happened in the EU is we saw violence against women go through the roof. We saw all sorts of issues with different assimilation causes. I'm pretty sure they have Sharia courts right now in the UK. They're at a civil level, but still, the point is that they are now having their justice system subverted to a religious system. The separation of church and state has been violated there because it's not part of their constitution. It's something we need to actually take into serious consideration. So finally, in conclusion, the fourth point I want to bring up is that should the president pick and choose what laws he wants to follow and ignore? I would call this uniparty tyranny. If one branch of the government is allowed to ignore the other two branches, which in this case would be the Congress and precedents set by the courts, then that is the uniparty doing what they want. We don't want the president to be able to say, I don't like that law, I'm just going to ignore it. That to me is like, so the proper way to change these laws is to go through the voter. And we had an election where this was the number one issue in 2024. And what we saw prior in polling was that most people wanted mass deportations. They didn't actually want more people here in this way. They didn't want to expand the definition of asylum. So to recap really quickly, we have these 4 points. This would empower the exact same people that you seek to take down with the root causes argument by allowing their business to thrive. So that's not good. The only way to deal with this root cause-wise is to have a military incursion into these countries that they've already said they don't want it, and have soft power resets on these countries because their governments are being paid. Some of the people in their governments are being paid by their cartels. There's some allegations we can get into about the current president of Mexico, especially the person that recommended her, the former president, that's very corrupt and tied in. Also Venezuela, we found that the FBI's investigation, said that there was some bad stuff going on there. Economic opportunity, and finally tyranny. These are all bad things that would be unintended consequences.
That was good. I'm going to share this because I think this might be a new record. This is his official time.
Hell yeah.
I think that's about all the dot as you can get. Real pressed. Okay. Okay, so Druid, whenever you're ready, go ahead, and then give me like 1 minute after that, and we'll start. Also, I realized something. We didn't do intros. I've done a few of these now. I still didn't. Tyler, where are you from? Who are you?
Oh, sorry, average debate enjoyer. I'm from Georgia. That's a weird question to dox myself, but and I'm here to lick ass and take names, and I'm all out of names to take, baby.
All right, fantastic. Druid, where are you from? What do you do?
All right, yeah, I'm a student. I won't completely dox myself, but if you want to investigate further, shout out Naomi Best Epps for her takedown of her university and her terrible, degenerate pedagogy that she had to be forced to go through. So read her stuff. You can check me out on Twitter at Desert Eon, and picture of a cat. There's a lot that we're actually going to agree on, and there's actually a lot that Tyler kind of talked
hold on,
past.
wait to start here. Wait to start. 1 second. I'll give you a go. I'll go ahead and start.
Sure.
Let me just we get intros here because I fucked up. And then Scott, go ahead. Where are you from? What do you do?
I'm Skyana. I'm a Twitch streamer. I play a lot of Valorant, and I'm from Michigan.
Woo! How about you, Anita?
Hello, I am a Marvel Rivals gamer, and I am from Chicago, Illinois.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited to take on your refugee status, and we can refugee you down to asylum that you're here in Texas. I'm excited to hear more. All right, go ahead, Druid. Whenever you're ready, I'll start it up.
There's a lot that actually I'm entirely going to agree on. So there's a lot that he was kind of just assuming, and I'm hoping that we can clear that. Though I don't have a prepared statement, but I have read something very recently from someone that we both are going to have a lot of disagreement with, a law professor at UC Irvine. This is a small section from the intro of The Quiet Coup, Neoliberalism and the Looting of America. Page, very start of it, XVII. Rule of law is essential to a thriving market. Its absence is a harbinger of societal collapse. Yet the difference between a society where laws are generally followed and enforced and one where bribery, corruption, and violence are prevalent has much less to do with the laws on the books or their enforcement, and is much more likely to come down to whether people trust that the laws are being enforced fairly. The distinction is invisible to the naked eye, but it makes all the difference in the world. Trust is a subjective experience; it must be felt, and like its kin feelings of fairness and freedom, it cannot be papered over with meaningless words if a society isn't actually fair or free. A pervasive sense that a game is rigged will eventually destroy the game. Justice is a feeling, not a legal code. Faith is just the enforcement of laws and the faith in the just enforcement of laws in the Rubicon between order and chaos, and it is difficult to know how close any society is to the line where contracts and statutes are replaced by strongmen with guns. Basically, she mentions something that Trump is basically the misfiring antibodies to a growing rot, a cancer in the body politic that began decades ago and can be seen across our legal system if no one knows where to look. Basically, this book tells the story about neoliberalism and how the network of laws, regulations have created a system that's inherently unfair, and basically it's created that unfairness for the sole purpose of economics, which these people are economic migrants primarily. The thing is that you said something along the lines of, we can't take in these people. That's not my argument. My argument isn't taking in these new people because a lot of them don't have justifiable asylum claims, like you've said. And we can talk about the system, and we can talk about ageist systems night or day. I can give you a very Trump solution that doesn't have to deal with actually our systems, but has to deal with dealing with the cartel and the way we dealt with the mafia, is the long story short on that. But the thing is that I'm not arguing for the people who are trying to come in. I'm arguing for the people who have already been here, who have established a family, who maybe they give money back to Mexico because they have some cousins and people and they're doing way better off. And again, that is the economic migrant box tick. But the thing is that they're primarily Americans, and I think we're already trying to tax the remittances on those exchanges, and that we would both agree on. So what it comes down to is is not a whole fire exchange like what Reagan did. The Gibbs, you're way better with words than I am. The amnesty. I think it was the amnesty program. Yeah, thanks, Tyler. So I don't want to do that either. That's obviously not what the Republicans voted for. But we also didn't vote for the people who have established a living under this flag and who have basically established the claim that they're Americans with, sure, many ties, national, international ties. We have a long history of that. And like I said, I just basically chose to do that small little intro, and I'd like to actually kind of get into more of a conversation as to what your reaction, Tyler, is to that. So, Gibbs, that's basically all I have for an intro. Yeah,
All
want
right.
to get into a conversation.
So I don't hate it. And it kind of
Right. All right. We'll let you go ahead and fight now. Y'all have about 14 minutes. Like I said, if I say something, just let me get in because I might be trying to redirect or clarify or something. All right, go ahead, fight.
So I'm gonna just go ahead.
And you are right. Also, it is a colloquial thing. I don't agree with the laws. I would equate this more to the moonshiners under Prohibition. Basically, it's an unjust law, even though it makes them a criminal. They are going to do that, and that's also something that spawns into the mafia, which is very pertinent to this conversation.
You're making a prescriptive argument. That's what I guessed and I assumed, and probably what we were going to devolve.
You just got my definitions and probably my prescription very wrong.
Yeah. Well, I would say that the law and order part is something you just gave me, but at the same time, these people are still here illegally. And so for every person that's here illegally, they're taking a spot for somebody that actually went through the proper vetting and the proper processes and paid the proper money to get through. They came in through illegal means, a lot of times ignoring our laws, ignoring our system, and they're keeping out people that are more qualified and better. Now, why can't we just take in...
You agree that the system is broken, right?
No, I don't think the system's broken at all.
Okay, why is the system not broken?
It works perfectly. It's bringing in exactly how many people a year that Congress decided we can handle based on our infrastructure and our low-skilled worker population.
Okay, so then why are there not enough people overseeing that system for it to actually run with all the people who are here?
There are. Where are we missing people?
The people who we're talking about, right? are entering because there's a broken system. They're not applying because it's a broken system.
The system works just fine. There's the majority of people that actually get into the country prior to the Joe Biden administration were ones that came in through the right passages. They applied for asylum or they came in through visa programs. We turned down, like Obama with a deporter in chief, turned down millions of people that came into this country at the border. The system was always working. You cannot come in illegally. If people find a way to get through illegally or are released into the interior and then stop ignoring the rules and disappear, you have to find them, you have to do due process to get them out. It takes longer to remove them than it takes to bring them in. That's the only reason why it's not working, is because we have a really good rule of law in our country, one that Trump was trying to circumvent for a while.
What was that last part?
This was something Trump was trying to circumvent for a little while, was the good rule of law system we have, where if you're getting deported, you can appeal multiple times. This is what Khalil's in the middle of right now. There's all sorts of good system, like good processes in place to ensure the system works. The reason why we can't take more,
I agree with that, but there's not enough, though.
Illegally. Yeah, I mean that's an argument you can have with Congress, but Congress is saying the reason they can't take more people in the right way is because we have so many people here the wrong way. So everybody that came in illegally is taking up a spot from somebody that did everything right, following all the rules, following all the laws, paid all the proper fees that you need to pay to get in. I'm in the middle of this.
Fascinating, because that sounds
9 months.
Gotcha. I'm gonna need to see more on that, but because that's a very like communist mindset, which is like someone coming in takes from what you're gonna get.
I don't think that's a communist mindset. I think that's how economy works.
Well, let me be specific. It's a Chinese communist mindset. They believe that if they are losing less than everybody else is losing on a whole, they're gonna be able to reap the benefits.
I don't care if it's a mindset that sharks have in the ocean. The mindset is that we saw this. There's a couple instances when Abbott was busing people to New York and Chicago. Both New York and Chicago's infrastructure to house people was completely overloaded. They were kicking U.S. citizens out. Then we look at Springville, was it?
Well, that's on the specific states
we have
wrong things with illegals. Yeah, against our private citizens. And again, that's also the people who are just now coming in. Well, my argument is not for the people who are just now coming in. I'm talking about the people who've been here for years.
How long
who've been here because
if they came in 2021, are they not allowed to get deported in 2025? They've been here for 4 years.
Deport them. That's not small enough.
So it's just an arbitrary number. I just think
it's not an arbitrary number. It's actually, it can be like, it can actually be a very like adjudicated, like clear line of like, hey, like the prime example is like Lolita, who has 20 family members who are all born in America, and the classic DACA students, right? Is that like these people haven't really had a choice because they've been funneled through this tyrannical system towards the shining hill, like the shining beacon on the hill, right? Yeah. Like the system is broken because we haven't been able to reach out to them and like adjudicate whether or not they have actually, established that they want to be Americans.
That's not.
And it'd be very simple to do that, to actually do that as well.
That's not the system being broken. That's the laws saying they are not U.S. citizens. Now, DACA was a weird thing. Obama kind of took his executive order a little bit too far to pass DACA.
They are de facto. They are de facto citizens, and there's a long line of these people coming in to do farm work and service work, which is what Trump agrees with me on. That we can't logistically deport these people that have been here working and making a living and living honestly, more or less, maybe under the thumb of the cartel, which we need to stop and we need to root out. And we can't root it out with war. We agree with that. We can root it out with criminal punishment of those people committing fraud, con, and actual like violence.
There's a billion people that could fit that definition in the world. Let's say, could we let them all?
A billion people?
Yeah.
No, these are like mainly Hispanic Americans inside of America. These are people who are inside of America.
Yes,
we don't have a billion people inside of America.
I'm making a hypothetical. There's a billion people in the world that could fit the definition you just gave for asylees. Should we let them all in at once? And if not, why? And I laid that out in my introduction that it would overflow our infrastructure and it would completely.
They're already here.
No, well, see, that's the thing is like our laws say they're here illegally. So, again, you can make these reservations for these rare examples for DACA that Trump even made himself. He offered amnesty to 2.4 people here illegally that were DACA recipients. because they were born here. They're too young to be charged with the accountabilities of their parents.
Almost like it's a logistical, moral kind of thing that we can't really kick them out of the place where they call home.
I mean, legally,
where they're domiciled.
They were children at the time, so we're showing compassion to them. But that's not the majority. You were arguing the majority are, and we shouldn't be punishing the people here illegally. We should be trying to fix the root causes. So now, if you're saying that, actually you're right about a lot of them, but some of them aren't, I think you're conceding a lot of ground in your argument here.
Well, I think the ground that we started on wasn't actually my tweet. Can we pull up my tweet?
Yeah, I would love to.
Yeah. I think it really comes down to the fact that we're not going to agree on calling it colloquial. Yeah. So you're going to be a stickler on doing it to statute and to the misdemeanor. You're going to be a stickler on bringing up all these millions who I agree with you shouldn't really be here.
Let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question.
Let me finish this real quick because I think I only have one more. And we both agree that we disagree on punishment and we disagree on a broken system, which is very interesting. And I don't know how to exactly parse that out. But yeah, I'm not asking for expanded definition. All I'm asking is for basically look into people's finances to see who's actually connected to the cartel and is actually running schemes under them and helping them.
If it were that easy,
hold on. Let me ask this. Let me just kind of reframe it a little bit, right? So y'all are arguing about the statutes versus colloquial. Drew, let me go to you first, I guess. Why should we focus more on the colloquial over the statute, right? Because, I obviously, as a conservative in Texas, I'm kind of at the point where I'd be like, hey, I want more law and order. I'm sick of the shit that's happening here. XYZ is happening. It's bad. Yes, there's good people, but they're also supplying the cartels because, Abuela might be working at fucking the, Costco, but she's still going to pay a portion of the cartels. Or if they want, they might not hit her up until for 10 years from now. Then they hit her up one time and they use her to rob. They get her to leave the Costco open. They rob it, right? So there's the long-term effects. Why is the colloquial better, in your opinion, than the law and order statute that Tyler's preparing? Then I'm going to go to you, Tyler, after you answer.
I guess the example of basically opposing a broken system that's unjust, that needs reform, is basically inherently moral on itself. That's what our country was founded on. That's what basically broke the Prohibition Amendment, which was very a huge history fact that kind of, I think, follows this kind of general pattern of a broken, illegal, for a lack of a better word, statute has to be broken and those people deemed criminals. And there's a level of civil disobedience, and those who are amounting civil disobedience to actual harm on American citizens should go home or back to where they came from, actually. And those who that call America home, that we can basically parse out, they have family, they committed Social Security fraud, but we need to go after the people who facilitated that Social Security fraud, and maybe not the recipients. Have a little bit more sympathy for the people who were at the bottom of the totem pole in this cartel rung. Okay. And I think that there are criminal cartel actors on U.S. soil that we can stop, that do not necessitate us going into Mexico. And I have a very similar proposal, maybe. There's probably nothing to what Tyler's ever heard before. That's similar to how we dealt with the mafia, with how we would have to deal with Mexico to actually have a peaceful resolution to this, where American citizens are not dying as much from drugs, where people are coming in illegally rather than illegally, and we get people who are trying to abuse the system in all rungs out, but the people who have been here are de facto here, and there's not much that we can logistically A, do, and B, morally do. And Trump agrees with me in both, as Tyler mentioned, the DACA in his first term, and in the current announcement of not going after agricultural and service workers and ICE raids.
Perfect. All right, Tyler, I'll let you respond to that. I'll come back to you later with the question I was going to have. I'm going to let you respond. You got about a minute and a half, and then we're going to go to the judges.
Okay, so reading the tweet here, it said the vast majority of people that are in the United States are refugees, when it was, the comment was, all people here illegally are criminals. It said, no, the vast majority are refugees, but with harsh conditions and journey, harsh men will take advantage of the systems and desperate refugees. These are not refugees by definition. You're arguing people coming here for economic conditions, for a better economic opportunity, are refugees. And by saying that, you're saying anyone who thinks I can earn more money in the United States is entitled to come in and break our laws. And what you did there was you read in your introduction about how the rule of law has to be strong and blind and apply to everybody equally, but your argument just was we should ignore these people committing felonies, we should ignore these people committing misdemeanors, we should ignore them doing illegal actions every single day, and we should have more sympathy for them. This is the soft on crime argument that we see in major cities that's resulting in massive crime spikes. It's just it's going to make the system worse if you allow people to just break the law with no punishment. And that is the prescription I'm offering. If you want to change the laws, you can. But the majority is not on your side for this. Even Democrats are praising Trump for deporting a lot of people. Now, to which degree differentiates between the group. Hispanics don't want to deport people in the same way you don't want to, which is understandable. Trump's also on board with that. What J.D. Vance said in his campaign speech in 2024 was, we want to get out all the criminal illegals, all the people that have been told that they have to be deported and such, and then we can get immigration down to a more manageable level, and we can start working out illegals or making them citizens.
All right, fantastic. Thank you. All right, I'll come back to you with a question in a little bit, Tyler. But we are going to go to the judges now because we're about that time. What do you have, Scott? Any questions for him so far? Either one of them?
I don't have any questions. I think I get their claims though.
Okay, perfect. How about you, Heidi? Any questions? What are your thoughts?
No questions so far. I'm pretty much understanding both arguments.
Perfect. All right, well, that makes my job easy. All right, so I will come back to you then, Tyler, to start, and then we'll open it back up.
Okay.
So I asked him about his colloquial. It seems like it's pretty clear why you're saying the illegal alien or whatever. But I do have a question. It's going to sound like a meme when I ask it, but it's not. Why do you like prohibition so much and hate alcohol? And why are you un-American and believe in, I don't know, the high percentage of the tea tax that we paid and we had the Boston Tea Party? Why are you going against what many would argue would be the epitome of American spirit whenever you argue for these draconian immigration policies? What are your thoughts on this? Why would that be an unfair assessment?
Well, because the stabilization of the economy due to massive taxes on tea was bad. But the destabilization of our economy based on bringing people in illegally and unvetted at extremely high numbers is also bad. So in this instance, the laws were working against the good of the public. And in the instance we're discussing now, the laws are working on behalf of the public. We don't have overflowed low-skilled labor jobs, driving wages down, driving rent up, and things of that nature. We don't have overstuffed infrastructure plans where you see cities kicking out U.S. citizens that are in need of food stamps and other assistance because they have to make room for all the people that came in at once due to the fact that the border policy was letting people in en masse at rates we've never seen before. We took more immigrants in over 4 years than we did ever. And in this case, arguing with his definition of what we should bring in here, it would bring in potentially 1 billion people from around the world that all fit these conditions of have people taking advantage of them, coming here to seek economic opportunity. Because our currency is the way it is, it's higher than most countries. $1 here is sometimes $50 in another country, so they could make massive amount of money just coming here. Is everyone, let's say, in Cambodia entitled to come into the United States for economic opportunity? I think not.
You're mudded, Gibbs.
Well, that explains why you weren't responding when I was talking there. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, so, all right, you went where I wanted you to go there at the end, and I guess I'll ask a quick follow-up, and then I'll turn it back over to you, because I think this might be the root of y'all's debate, right? What is the fundamental difference between, like, a quasi-government, like an ISIS, where they're, like, not a government, they're a terrorist organization that takes on government characteristics, or a cartel, which actually controls some towns and actually provides governmental functions, whatever. What is the fundamental difference between a quasi-governmental group like that and a government if they're actually prosecuting you and causing crime and causing economic disparity? What is the fundamental difference between that and, like, an actual government, dude? Is there anything? And why should we factor that in as a difference? Because it seems to be like you're very adamant that this is the core thing, and it seems to me this is kind of Druid's big point here, where he's arguing that it's a, doesn't really seem to mean a difference because it's the result is the same. Why does this matter? And then I'll let y'all fight it out, because I feel like y'all are kind of talking past each other. I thought maybe we could reframe this. Go ahead.
So I would more point at like something like Hamas, where they are a quasi-government, but they're not actually fulfilling a lot of the government roles, especially keeping their people safe. And if you look at something like Hamas, they have the positions of power themselves, whereas a cartel might have just a small handful of politicians in their pocket, similar to what he was saying about the mafia. The thing is, the mafia were U.S. citizens and the cartel are not. So in order to do what we did to the mafia, to the cartel, we would have to have jurisdiction over them. And in order to have jurisdiction over them and overthrow the people that they pay off in government, we would have to infiltrate and invade their countries because their governments are turning us down. We've been offering this for 30 years.
Fight. Yeah, there you go. Fight. You can fight now.
Okay, so first off, people who commit felonies, get them out. But misdemeanors, we allow all the time. We allow misdemeanors to be written off your record all the time. I could list them, but we don't have time for that. We are a country, basically. Americana is crimina. We let go misdemeanors all the time for our own citizens, and we also can tax the misdemeanors of illegals. And we can get some economic incentive back that they extracted from us. What was the last thing that you said, by the way, Tyler? I was trying to write it down, but
quasi-government versus a full government. Hamas would be somebody that like took over the functions of government themselves, whereas the cartel of the mafia pays somebody in government.
Okay, yeah, that's what I was kind of laughing at you about, is that you don't actually know the full history of what we dealt with the mafia, is that we didn't deal with the mafia just with guns and the law. We dealt with them in a kind of an under the table kind of backroom deal. Like, that's why Las Vegas was created. You know that, right?
That's my dealt with, because the mafia wasn't dealt with when we created Las Vegas. It's dealt with decades later.
Yeah, but the confluence of Las Vegas attracted all the mafia members to have a place where they all can congregate and where they can not actually cause harm to U.S. citizens. Unless U.S. citizens buy into going to Las Vegas, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. Can you just...
You're basically saying we set up a sanctioned a zone for crime to be crime. That sounds like...
No, because we could set it up to actually just be in Mexico, because they have, like we has both agree on, the government in their pockets, so they could literally just set up legal drug areas and casinos for people to go and legally do drugs and have people to oversight, and they would make more money that way than in their illegal market. And like, do you know what country also has the largest black market? It's America. Because we allow 100 misdemeanors to go so that we don't take an innocent person into jail, even though we're starting to get it wrong a lot, you know?
I think we're getting lost in the definitions here. You keep saying broken. The only definition for broken you've given me is we don't let as many people in as you would like. And now,
I don't know how to parse that.
Plea deals, and these plea deals are because of things like the same reason as prosecutorial discretion, where we don't have the resources to try everybody to the full extent of the law. So if somebody pleads out, and we don't have to put them in front of the judge, this is cheaper and easier on our system. This doesn't mean we're not punishing them for the crimes they committed. We're just saying if you plead guilty and show a shred of honesty and remorse, we'll give you a lesser sentence if you save us time and money. That's what that is. They're still being punished by the law. They're just given a little bit of a pat on the head if they don't fight.
I think accountability doesn't necessarily need to amount to a punishment. I think a punishment is like a slap on the wrist, but if someone takes a piece of candy and you say, hey, you can't have that piece of candy, I'm going to like make it just as it was as if you didn't commit the activity, but I can't stop you from having the candy if you took a bite or something, right? So, like, fundamentally, punishment has to be a little bit more than just kind of a quasi-authoritarian like reestablishment to status quo.
Free healthcare for all.
I think, yeah, you're right. That accountability doesn't always mean punishment. When you break the law, it does. And again, I've given you multiple instances. If you're here illegally...
Like, is community service punishment?
It could be, yeah, absolutely.
Okay. And I think we just have, like, fundamental different definitions that it underlies that. Is that, like, we don't have the same definition of punishment?
Well, this is how the Constitution's written. We give citizens different rights and punishment than we give people here. Aliens, legal aliens, and illegal aliens are given even less rights. Now, they do have the right to not be arrested for their speech, But if you're an alien based on the INA from 1952 and you say something that doesn't line up with the foreign policy of the current government we have, you can be removed from the country and have your alien status stripped of you based on reasonable judgment by the Secretary of State. So that being said, like, these people don't have the exact same rights, so we can give U.S. citizens.
Yeah, but the
some rights.
reasonableness has changed since 1952, basically. So the reasonableness has become that if you have 20 family members who were half DACA students and half providing plumbing and electricity jobs, not under cartel, because you're the only one who has cartel backings, but they don't need to know about it. Like some
Why can't
Zorro
they
shit,
just sponsor
right?
you and bring you in as a legal citizen then? Why do you have to be here
great.
illegally if you have all these people here?
They don't know because the system is broken and we don't actually. The system is broken in California, my guy. This is why we're having this issue.
The only thing that's broken is the.
I'm in California. I'm a California conservative. It is a broken system. We do not enforce.
That's it.
Feds don't come in, and yes, I agree. They're ignoring federal law for the criminals. Yeah, but you can't give up the non-criminals. Like, that's what they're trying to get at, but they're definitely overstepping the mark. Yeah, we agreed on that. And they should definitely be giving over the criminals. They don't know about them.
Then that's
they don't
not
know about
the
them?
fault of anybody but the person.
That's the fault of the system.
No, that's the fault of the individual that didn't take the proper steps. It's not hard. My fiance's on a K-1 visa. It took 9 months to get her into the country. It's not that difficult. It's not that expensive. If you're here illegally for 20
Which is why
years,
if they knew about it, they would do it. They don't know about it.
So you're saying that they're just all stupid and they don't know how to use Google?
I'm not saying that.
Then what are you saying? Like, why wouldn't they know about all these offers that are offered to routes?
Because they are just they are literally just trying to live with their families. They don't care about actually becoming necessarily fully legal.
Okay.
Because they don't need to become fully legal to actually enjoy the benefits of America. The American mythology is that you don't necessarily need to be legal to become an American.
You're saying they don't
because Americans don't care about the law.
They don't.
We have a convicted felon for president. Whether or not
a citizen with an illegal immigrant. An illegal immigrant does not have the right to be here. We let people in as a privilege to them. We bring them into our country as a privilege to them. It's not a right.
They are trying to become citizens by being standard American citizens.
You're saying that they don't care about the law, so we shouldn't punish them with the laws?
They don't care about administration. Republicans hate administrative law. Yes, I love them for that. They're so conservative, actually.
They follow it. They don't ignore the law. You're arguing that we should ignore enforcing the law.
Republicans do ignore the law.
Tyranny. That is tyranny.
I'm not even talking about Trump.
That's right.
Well,
I'm saying you're saying that's right and just. You read that quote in your intro.
Let me examine that claim that you just made. You said Republicans obey the law, right, in this situation.
Mm-hmm.
What
they
about? They
both take out stocks to preempt your question. They both take out stocks, and that's already.
I was gonna say, just to go to Tyler's thing. What is the difference between a sanctuary city and a county in Texas that doesn't recognize 2A restrictions? Can you tell me the fundamental difference there? Either because they seem pretty equivalent to me, right? I mean, and that would go to Druid's point about Americans not caring about administrative law. Like, what is your objection to that, Tyler?
I agree with you. I think they're the same thing. I think that if you ignore federal law and you say our state's going to ignore federal law, you are ignoring the laws and you're undermining the justice system. And if the justice system needs to be given out evenly and needs to be blind to the circumstances of the person, compassion means the justice system is not blind. Ignoring the laws in the books means you're not blindly enforcing them, and it undermines the quote you read in your introduction.
Liberty might be blind, but she does have ears, my friend.
That doesn't mean anything.
Yes, it does. She can hear people's shouts and screams and cries and yells.
No, that's not how the law works. It needs to be equally enforced.
That's how the metaphor works, my friend!
As your quote said, it needs to be equally enforced, and you're arguing we should ignore
it's not capable of being enforced because it's broken.
It's not. It absolutely is. Deporting people is something that can easily be done. Trump's deported about 800,000 people in just a few months. It's easily.
Yeah, we agree with it. Yeah, but we don't agree on the fundamental people who have established lives in America.
That's because you haven't defined them. I asked you what your term was, and you said less years than 5 is, or more years than 5 is all I've gotten out of you.
I think that's in the statute, but yeah, for it to become a misdemeanor, yeah. So, how else can I give the example, right? Someone who's established a life here, they have family here, right? And they could be easily they could be easily determined if they went through the system, but people need to go to them because they don't know about the system, because this is a broken aspect of the system. The system is not entirely broken and defunct because, yes, like you give the example of your lovely fiance, there are capabilities of going through the system. The legal way is also being abused because we need a full overhaul because there are broken aspects in the system. There's been an earthquake and there's been no repavement.
Let's go to the judges here real quick. That's a perfect segue. Quiet. It's about that time. Do we have any questions or thoughts so far that y'all want clarified? We'll start with you, this time. Hi, Anita.
So I have a couple of questions for Druid. One thing that kind of stood out was you said that the system is tyrannical, right? It's unfair and it's broken. So if that's the case, then why do you advocate for asylum seekers to be here if that's the case?
I'm not arguing for asylum seekers. I'm arguing for people who have established. So there's a difference
Established?
between
Okay.
yeah.
Okay,
I
and
think
what
that's
about
the keyword that I'm looking at.
what about they don't know or they don't care about the laws if they're already here? Because you said they don't know, and then you walk back and say they don't care because it's
I
not
think it
really
can be both.
required.
Yeah. I think it can be both. QCat.
Well,
Do you have a different way you could phrase that? So they don't know and they don't care. I basically mean that like the mythology of America has been to oppose laws that are unjust, give prohibition, could give slavery as another example, and probably a whole list of other ones. But basically, if the law isn't actually being fair, then people will be vocal about that, and they'll either be vocal about that in their words or in their actions, and in this case it's their actions by not participating in that.
but you do understand that if you're trying to make a case for people that have already been here, they're already against the law, shouldn't they like follow our laws at least? Like the very least.
They do, right? So that's the one thing they've done, and if there is any felony proof, then yes, absolutely get them out. Or even you could even distinguish this into misdemeanors that could possibly harm, like an assault misdemeanor or something like that. So if they are presenting a harm to people, you can get them out. But there are people who are not harmful that are here to establish a life, and the ones who have established a life, we can get through the system if we actually had a proactive system.
Do you not see the unfairness of people ignoring the law, though? Because they're here illegally. No matter if they've been here for 25 years, 30 years, even if they established their lives, business, they're still here illegally.
I don't judge by someone ignoring the law. I judge by the harm that's done, right? I don't really care that someone's smoking within 50 meters of a building, 50 feet of the building, if they're being responsible, right? Because with rights comes responsibilities. So if people are being responsible and using their rights to go about their freedom and aren't harming others, they're good. I have a very libertarian stance on this, and that's where I think my and Tyler's fundamental disagreement here is that I have a very libertarian stance. He has a much more authoritarian stance on this.
Generally, I'm a
some of us are gonna
With
smoke
that
in the building.
explaining,
Go ahead, Sky.
with that explanation, wouldn't you be a part of the problem of why the system is broken? If you really don't care about like the whole logistics, it's just about the harm of somebody else, right? Because you're like, I don't care if you smoke 50 feet or closer to the building. Like, that doesn't matter to me. But the fact is that it's like illegal, but not doing any harm. Like, that's another reason why it's like, I don't know. I'm really bad with words.
Like it's kind of goes into like I'm okay with civil disobedience as long as you're not like causing a traffic jam is probably where I draw the line at. Like you can be on the side of the road with posters, sure, and like be a vague like a billboard, like it could be a distraction, but and cause an accident. But otherwise, like there are some things that amount to a crime, sure, that you need to be arrested for. Yes.
Let me ask you this, and then I'll let the judges ask another round of questions. I think this.
And there are other things real quick that police and local cops let go.
Yeah, I'll see you, Tyler. I'm gonna ask him a question. I did just ask you one, Tyler, so I'm gonna ask him one real quick. So I think just to clarify, I think this will maybe help the judges out a little bit. Part of this is what you're arguing for is that the current system is, this is interesting because you're very left of me, but you are arguing some like conservative stances here with the libertarian aspect. You're arguing that it's over legislated. It's actually causing more harm and not by enforcing these laws as opposed to like maybe do reform and getting rid of some of these laws to make it easier, and then that'll allow and focus on the root causes, and that would be more beneficial to the American society as a whole, as opposed to what Tyler's saying is let's have blanket enforcement, because that's the easy way, that's the best way to do it, and harm isn't really a indicator for it here. Even if there is harm one way or the other, it's more of the blanket. It's kind of, I feel like it's been a little bit. Would you agree with that assessment, Druid? Is that kind of what you're kind of pushing?
It's close. I would say that it's just not legislated properly. Not that it's under or over legislated. I think it's just not legislated fully properly. I think we have some good fundamental ideas. I think Obama's ideas are bad. And I think if we go back to the original principles, we can get to something that looks like our Ellis Island kind of holy grail immigration system. And I think that it's also just under enforced. I think that Trump did great when he went over to the wall and he said, hey, you're either going to remain in Mexico so that we can actually adjudicate you in 30 days. And I think it's something that Tom Holland, the secretary, now said that basically you get let into the country, you can stay here up to so many years, and if you are stopped at the border, you get heard in 30 days.
All right, Tyler, I see your hand. I'm going to give you 1 minute to rebut that, and then I'm going to go back to the judges and see if they got anything else before we move on to the last section here.
It's more rebutting a lot of things you said there. I can do that in 1 minute. The ways that somebody living here illegally can obtain citizenship are called a U visa, a K-1 visa. They can apply for asylum status. They can apply as a dreamer. And also, after 5 years, once they've obtained some form of residency, they can just flat out apply for residence or some sort of residency. They can apply for citizenship. So that's all the ways that somebody here illegally can become a U.S. citizen. And you're saying that they know these laws or they don't know them, and if they do know them, they're ignoring them. So
they definitely don't know them.
Well, that's not the fault of the system. That's the fault of the individual. If the system gives them 5 different routes to become a citizen, they don't take any of them, and they're still here illegally, that's on them.
Okay, let's go to
real quick, because that's something that actually goes to fundamental like laws and like legal like understanding, is that constructive notice of the law is so retarded.
All right, let's go to. Let me ask the judges any other questions real quick before we go to their final open period. All right, go ahead. Y'all are gonna get about 5 minutes here, 6 minutes to go back and forth. Then I'm gonna stop you, and Tyler, you'll get first closing, and then then he'll get. No wait. No, we'll do it backwards. Druid, you're going to get first closing since he opened, and then he'll get last closing. All right, so go ahead, fight.
Okay, so I just was taking a look at this. Illegal immigrants cost the federal and state governments about $160 billion a year and only contribute back about $80 billion a year. So there's a net negative to the taxpayer for them being here as well. If they became citizens and weren't breaking the law every single day by being here and working, then they would be contributing a lot more. They'd naturalize a lot faster, and all sorts of good things that come out of legal immigration that we're not seeing for maybe 2 more generations than illegal immigration, especially nationalization and the amount they put into contributions. Starting businesses is another one. Legal immigrants are significantly more beneficial to the economy than illegal immigrants, and we have a long list of 17 million people that did everything right. They have to wait 10 years to get in because we can't increase that number due to how many people are here illegally. Now, there are some exceptions. Your tweet said the majority. We went to DACA. DACA's 10% of the people here illegally.
It's one part of it, yeah.
Yeah, so that would mean the vast majority.
They have a vast majority of family members that are very similar to them now.
So there are laws on the books. The system allows them to become citizens.
Laws on the books? Ooh, so scary.
You're saying the system is broken. I'm refuting that claim, and you're
not, because you're literally showing how you're literally showing the money difference of how it's broken.
Yeah,
if it was actually a functional system, it would have a positive cash flow. And the way we can get a positive cash flow, whatever. The way we can get a positive cash flow. Trump sure is running it like one. What?
No, he's not.
That's good.
He's at a massive deficit. His bill's going to add $2 trillion to the. He's not running it like a business. The government does not run like a business. It's run for the American people and their benefit. And if you're not an American citizen and doing zero effort to become an American
Yes,
citizen,
but
despite several pathways, then you're here illegally and breaking.
just like it's run for the American citizens, the company is run for the benefit of the business, right?
Yes, but not. It doesn't have to turn on an economic profit. I'm showing you how this is detrimental to the U.S.
In
voter
some places, it
in
doesn't need to
several
turn out an
ways.
economic profit to actually be a feasible system. Have you heard
Yeah,
about
I
the patent
do.
system?
I've agreed. Well, patent system is economically beneficial and innovationally beneficial as well.
The people coming here and working, any job, making jobs, is economically beneficial.
I agree, and that's why we want the people that are coming here working more, making jobs more, and there's a long list of
Talking past
17
the
million
different
of them.
definition of
I'm
broken.
agreeing with you and saying, how about we bring in the ones that are actually doing that instead of allowing the people that are here illegally, that physically can't, legally cannot do those things, are here taking their spots. We're letting people that are much more viable immigrants wait a decade because we want to bring in people.
I agree.
illegally.
We should expedite them as well. Yeah, absolutely. I'm not arguing against them.
There's a cap on that.
But
I already
if
gave
we-
you this argument. It was unaddressed.
I don't know what to like. I've already addressed the fact that if something's like if Congress is incapable, like how old are these studies, right?
Several of them are
Congressional- yeah,
2023
congressional reports.
numbers I just gave you.
Fantastic. I'll actually look at them and maybe we can have a back and forth after this as well when I actually have that. Because from my knowledge of this, right, they are like we should just increase the amount of people in the administration that run this. We should simplify the way it's administrated, and then we can have that kind of slim but efficient system that can adjudicate these people who want to be established American citizens.
You've said that already. I've already rebutted that with the fact that we cannot bring in more people right now. We have cities that are over flooded with migrants, and the fact that we're bringing in and allowing people to stay illegally is part of the reason we can't bring in more migrants that did everything right, that start businesses at higher rates, that work at higher rates, that commit crime at much lower rates. We cannot bring them in because we're already overflowed with people that are here illegally, and you're saying we should ignore the laws on the books on their behalf.
It seems like, yeah, if you actually had a little bit more disrespect for, if you had a little bit more disrespect for unmoral laws, you'd probably be with me. Yeah.
That's 3 of my arguments. So the last argument is allowing these people to continue to come into the country props up the cartel's business. They make billions of dollars, and it's growing. It grew significantly under the Biden administration, and we already see it massively down since Trump has stopped allowing these people to come in. The best way to bankrupt them is to stop letting them successfully to traffic people into the United States.
Which starts with them.
Which starts with a strong border and getting people out, not allowing them to stay. Saying if you come to the U.S. illegally, there's no place for you. You're going to be removed from the United States. So don't do it.
The thing is that they are here de facto, okay?
Yeah, they're here de facto telling
not the ones who are coming in, who have been coming in over the past 5 years. Talking about the ones who are established here.
If you're here illegally for 5 years, you can apply for citizenship. Anyone that's here illegally that has not done that has no respect for our rule of law. And if
they
you're
have
going to
no
say
idea
that
of them,
should be punished inequally, not only is that bad for the law, it's bad.
They should also be known equally too. That'd be nice.
Our democracy said no to in the previous election. This was the #1 issue for voters, and they said they want them out. Even the majority of Hispanic
voters. It's a republic that said that, but yeah.
They want them out. It's a type of democracy. That's a weird distinction.
It's a great distinction, actually. Separation of powers is a beautiful thing.
That's not part of it.
All right, let me just jump in here. All right, go ahead, Druid. You're gonna have 3 minutes here. Let me pull it up to do a closing. Then we're gonna do the Tyler, and we're gonna vote in here. Druid, whenever you're ready, go ahead and start.
Yep, this is basically just another thing of just talking past people's definitions and the fact that we need to get more into the weeds actually on kind of our actual moral systems and what we believe in and what actually it means to be American. Hopefully we can do that. Hopefully our representatives can actually establish laws that we can agree with, or at least that aren't tyrannical and abrasive. Hopefully we can get criminals like cartel and drug traffickers and human traffickers out of our country. And follow me on Twitter, Desertion.
All right, thank you so much, Tyler. Go ahead. 1 second. You got 3 minutes to go. Starting now.
All right, so as for every definition that was given that was ambiguous, I asked for more clarity. What is the limit of people coming in? We never got that, besides more than 5 years was the only definitional explanation we got for that. The system being broken. What's wrong with that? Well, we just don't let enough people in. That's the only reason the system is broken, is we don't let enough people in and we don't provide passive citizenship. Well, we let people in based on how much our economy can handle. That was addressed. And also we have 5 ways for them to come in when they're already illegal here. And he's flat out said, like, they either don't know the laws, and if they know them, they're ignoring them. That to me is not somebody who is American, somebody that comes into our country and ignores their jurisdiction. As for my 4 points in the intro, all 4 of them were conceded. Everything I laid out as my 4 major points for my argument of why this has worse unintended consequences was conceded. It was just, I need to be more moral was the argument. The moral high ground here is on what the U.S. voter says it is. We decided you come here as a privilege, and if we don't want you here illegally, we want to go with the 17 million people that did everything right because they are actually a better economic output and have been properly vetted to not be criminals or terrorists or whatnot. Then these are the people. It's my closing.
I got a number for you, actually. I just came
my
up with the
closing.
number.
This is my closing.
Hold on, yeah, hold on. Let us go finish, Tyler.
Okay, yeah. So at the end of the day, if we pick and choose which laws we want to follow, this is a tyrannical government, and this is not what people want. You don't get to ignore the other 2 branches of government, legal precedent and Congress's laws when you're the executive. Nobody wants that from the president. It's unpopular when Trump does it. It's unpopular when Biden did it. Nobody wants that. The way to fix this problem was never addressed. I asked, and all we got was vague. Deal with them like we dealt with the mafia, who was under U.S. jurisdiction. But these people are in other countries. We would have to go in and have jurisdiction over those countries, and what that takes is a takeover. The countries are saying no to us. On top of that, this would incentivize more fraud, more abuse, cost the taxpayers significantly more money, and then finally, to empower these people, to allow them to stay, is telling the cartel, keep sending more because we're going to allow them to stay here and you can continue to make more money.
All right. Perfect. Thank you so much. All right. I'm going to start the poll in chat. Judges, go ahead and just message me the name in the individual DM who won. And then here after the voting in about 3 minutes, we'll come to y'all and we will see who won the chat vote. And we will just go from there. What did y'all think of the debate? Don't give me away any winners. How does everybody feel? And we all feel good. Druid, you did very good for your first time. Tyler, fuck you. No, I'm just kidding. You did as well. Yeah. Ladies, did y'all enjoy this? Did y'all have fun doing these? Good. Yeah.
I enjoyed it.
Good.
I like your cow aesthetic.
Yeah.
Thank
Like
you.
doing
I'm gonna start
topics
doing
that
Go ahead.
can understand.
These are topics you understood?
Yeah.
Yeah, I understood this one kind
Oh,
of.
yeah, good. Yeah, I mean, okay, I fucked up the voting. It's a buying thing. We're gonna have to end this, guys. We're gonna redo the voting.
Biden amendment. Scrub
Yeah,
it. 25th it.
Yeah, we're gonna end this one. I don't know how to end it. / end poll. Yeah.
Yeah, this isn't also a conversation that's going to stop too. I don't actually believe in just doing a one and done. Like, me and Tyler are going to keep talking about this and
Yeah, that's fine.
see where it goes.
Yeah, we're gonna redo the poll now since you bastards can't be trusted in chat, and nobody told me that about that fuck up after Testy or somebody set the last one. I don't know who set the last one up when they put that feature on, and then it stayed in there.
Stop the count.
Yeah, I was over here. Oh, how does somebody already have like 200 votes? Yeah, kind of thing. I was like, there's not that many people in here. All right, the poll's back up. All right, now
It's
y'all
true.
can
I
vote.
rigged the last poll for Mel to get in the VC. That was the last poll you had.
Yeah, that one was rigged.
Testy, I like a true fucking Democrat.
Mm-hmm.
Scanner, what's
Also,
your
I never wanna-
smoke say?
What?
What's your smoke say? What's your pen say? You're showing it up during the debate at some point.
You are?
Yeah.
Oh, my brother just gave me a Cheech and Chong pen.
Hell yeah.
That's called Sugar Daddy.
Also, I want to go from now on. Next time someone says that Tyler's a right winger, I'm gonna go take him to this debate and be like, "Haha, you have jokes." Tyler is about as lefty as they get now after hearing this bullshit. That was very satisfying to me. So, voting's still going. We got about 2 minutes, chat, and then we'll figure.
Wait, also Gibbs.
Mm-hmm.
How many times have you had two conservatives on facing each other? This is This is like a we're minorities in Twitch sphere, right?
I'm a '90s Democrat.
This is hilarious. Y'all two calling yourselves conservatives is wild to me. Y'all are both like extremely left to me. Yeah. This is about it. Like whenever Connor's calling himself a conservative, nah, not really. Y'all are like, at least you prefaced it with Cali conservative. That makes more sense, you know.
I'm gonna smoke a fat joint after this.
I would say this is the first time I've had like two centrists probably go at each other.
I will wear that as a badge of honor. Thanks.
Yeah. Y'all are pretty like middle ground, like on most issues. Hi, Anita, just DM me who you think won, by the way, if you want to, in a private one.
Which is also why, well, then maybe, well, no, I think this would have been a harder one, though, if I had two Republicans judging, though.
I mean, I'm not sure about that. I also, like, I feel like both these people here, both my judges here, they're both very, like, I don't know, laissez-faire on some issues and then more on other ones, like, right, like, you know what I'm saying? They're not, I don't know. Y'all are fairly moderate.
They're not the extremists.
Compared to some people who are pentuple. No, I'm just kidding.
MAGA HQ.
Yeah, pentuple is the.
We love them, though. We love them.
I just want to go on record saying pentuple. There's no bigger LGBTQ fan than pentuple. In fact, it is his month. Baseball started this month. You know what I'm saying?
He closed Grinder at the RNC.
I'm saying he is the biggest grinder sport. In fact, he did get an NIL sponsorship from Grinder for his baseball team. I'm pretty excited about it. I don't know if he announced that to y'all yet, but he's got a big photo of him holding the phone.
Oh.
And yeah, it's pretty good stuff. Yeah, we're excited for his sponsorship. He's being sponsored by causes he believes in heavily. All right, fantastic. We've got 1 more minute on this poll, and we'll move over. Tonight, guys. Side note: no women's panel tonight. It was very complicado, but all right. We got the chat vote. We got looks like Tyler won 5-3. Let's go to Hi Anita first. See who she had winning, and then we'll go to Sky, and then tell us who won and why. Then we'll go to you, Sky.
Okay, so I chose the average debater just because it makes sense to me. I believe in laws, and I just think that we should follow them. It's just no point in laws if we're like, oh yeah, they're doing good. It's just no process. And it also, I don't like how you like make it seem like they can't research the laws. If you're going to be here, I feel like you should do the due diligence at least, because he lists off of ways how illegal people can be legal. So like I feel like that's the very bare minimum for a person, you know. But I think they're capable of looking up our laws and knowing some things. That's all I really have to say.
Well, congratulations, Kyle.
Well, that's 2 votes. Yeah, I guess in the words of the NFL, basically the last kicker here, it doesn't really matter. But Mrs. Irrelevant or Mr. or whatever they're gonna go by today. And we're gonna go to Sky here. We're gonna see what their vote was, and we're gonna get it done here. What
Sky, you matter the most.
Yeah.
Irrelevancy. My vote never matters. I'm lefty. I'm super gay. Although I agree with Druid a lot, I think he fumbled a little bit. So I voted for Tyler just because he was more concise and had more. What did I say in the text?
Moxie?
Is that what it was?
Yeah. No, he had a lot more standing evidence supporting his claims rather than I feel this and Liberty feels that.
Well, it was a very good debate, very good showing, Drew. I did like, I will say one thing that you did almost right off the bat that was very good was you came in with the author, the title, the book, and then the exact page number, and then had it ready to go. That was basically the setup for your whole argument. That was a good way to do it. I wish more people would bring those into their openings. I think that was something you did very well.
I wasn't even gonna have one, but it was literally something I just was like, oh, this is like underneath my desk. I didn't pick it up, and I just like kind of flipped a little bit. I was like, okay, this sounds good.
Yeah, it was good. I think you did very good. But very good job, Tyler. Very good win. Let's see here. Who is going to continue streaming? Sky, are you going to keep streaming today? Are you done for
probably put it back on later. I think I'm going to finish now because I have to.
Okay, Tyler, are you going to keep going for a while?
No, I'm going to make dinner.
All right, we're not going to raid any of these people here. We're going to raid somebody else. I don't know who. Let's go raid fucking Wick, I think, or Nina. One of the two. We'll raid Wick because he just had me on, and I know how much Tyler hates him.
I don't hate him. I'm just kidding.
It'll be funny. But no, all right, we'll raid Wick because why not?
Okay, well, Wick is a known CIA and FBI agent, just so everybody knows.
That's fine. I'll say hi from the FBI or something. All right, guys, y'all have good. I'll be back later probably for some gaming.
That was fun.